you over on playback too.
I'm playing all the sites tonight. Nothing can go wrong.
I feel like that's par for the course with you, though.
Well, I'm doing FanDuel tonight. I usually don't do that on this show. I do. Yahoo.
I haven't played FanDuel in a minute.
I figured that since there's only the one game at 7, and I know I'm going to play it, so then I could just pick whatever other shit happens. And there will be.
Oh, there will be shit.
That. All right, Stokastic, here we go. It's your old pal EMac coming to you on a Saturday. Almost said Sunday here out of Reflex. No Sunday show, no NFL this Sunday. What? Oh, that's right, because Super Bowl is next Sunday. So we've got that to look forward to. A little bit of a rematch there between Kansas City and the Eagles. But tonight we have a 6 game, is it? It's a 6-gamer starting at 7. 1 game tipping off at 7, and then plenty of time for things to get turned on their head. It is the NBA. It is no longer the NBA in March. It is the NBA about a week after the season. Just nothing matters anymore. So much to the point that the commissioner's like, maybe we should shorten these games to 40 minutes instead of using something logical like getting rid of some of the timeouts, perhaps. Maybe calling less fouls, things of that nature. Matt, are you ready to solve the world tonight with me?
I am. First Sunday without football in what seems like forever. The NBA, man. And it feels like we always enter in a little bit more of weirdness with the NBAs on the weekends. So it just gets that much weirder with guys sitting. You never know what's going to happen. You just got to be able to be prepared for whatever happens, expect the unknown. And yeah, at least like the slate on DraftKings ends at like 8:30, I think is the last game.
Yes, and the reason I got confused is I'm playing all 3 sites tonight, so I am playing over there on FanDuel as well, which is including that Phoenix at Portland, I think is the final game of the night, going off 90 minutes, I think, after the final game on the DraftKings slate. And then, of course, the secret site, that would be Yahoo, playing over there as well. So we've got a lot of fun here. Now, the reason I felt comfortable doing this is all of that mess is going to happen later. So we got the 1 game at 7. We should know all of the moving parts and pieces there in that one, because it is Denver at Charlotte. So back-to-back for both teams, but we know LaMelo Ball's out for a few more games. You've got Cody Martin still out. Peyton Watson, he was out, sprained his knee. I didn't realize he was going to be out. Russell Westbrook tweaked, I forget if it was his calf or his hamstring, at the beginning of the 4th quarter last night. That was a nip and tuck game in Philadelphia. I think it ended up being like 137, 134 or something like that. Denver didn't even have the lead until 50 seconds left in the 4th quarter. They had the lead for a fair portion of the night, but their margin of lead for the entire night was 2.9 points. So it was pretty close there for most of it. But of course, that's going to make Jamal Murray look really good. Nikola Jokic looks really good. We've got some other center options, so we're going to talk about strategy on that one. The Sacramento OKC game, nothing crazy there. Alex Caruso is out, and then Jalen Williams out on the other side. So remember, that is not the Atlanta Jalen Williams, who has been lost for the year with that shoulder injury, which was unfortunate because he was in the midst of a nice breakout. The bigger news is Anthony Edwards feeling a little under the weather. That can happen when the Wizards come into town with their automatic, here, take this victory from us, we'd like to lose situation. So I expect Mike Conley probably to sit with his right thumb issue. We already know Julius Randle is out for the rest of this week and probably next. And then Dante DiVincenzo probably out through the All-Star game. So it's going to be Naz Reid time. We're going to talk about Jaden McDaniel, a few others there. Wizards without Alex Sarr, but they do have Malcolm Brogdon coming back after a 29 or what, a game absence or whatever it was. Day'Ron Sharpe apparently healthy. Who knows with Alperen Sengun. And then the Lakers and Knicks. That's people are saying, oh, LeBron in Madison Square Garden. 1, don't know if he's going to rise to the occasion. 2, He's 40 now. Tariq, he knows he's got to carry the team because Anthony Davis hit that inevitable injury. So we'll see what happens there in New York. And then finally, the last game that concerns us, that Miami game, it does look like Tyler Hero is going to be available to play. He has been dealing with, I forget if it was an adductor or a groin issue, basically the same thing there. So I think that hits most of the moving parts. Did I miss anything crucial there, Matt?
The only thing I heard you miss was calling Jalen Johnson of the Hawks Jalen Williams, but that's it.
Did I? No, because I was talking about Jalen Williams.
You said no one will confuse him with the Atlanta version, but they don't have the same.
You're
name,
right.
So no one would
You're
confuse
right.
them anyways.
I'm sorry. I did.
I was nitpicking. That's it.
If there's not something, if I'm not your old pal EMac, your old moving into dementia EMac, this is not good. This is not good. All right. Well, here's fun notes. Did you know Will Smith is actually older than me?
No, I did not know that.
That's kind of interesting. I remember me and him were hanging out with Moses. It was a lot of fun. All right, Matt, your turn to talk for a little while. We've got some guards here. There's no reason to talk about Anthony Edwards and how good he was, because I really think he's going to sit tonight. So what do you have here for us?
Yeah, a lot of good plays on this slate. It feels condensed for even a smaller slate with just the player pool. Like, I think you're going to see, the same guys get a lot of ownership tonight because we finally have a situation where players are out, most likely have Ant sitting, which projections have kind of accounted for, but not fully. So, yeah, I mean, I feel like the starting point has got to be Jokic and what you do with him on a back-to-back in Charlotte. I mean, he projects for 6 more fantasy points than Shea, who's the next highest by a pretty good margin. Charlotte gets destroyed by opposing big men. Did you want me to talk about guards or spend up? Sorry, I got a little lost.
Just spend up guards.
Okay.
Let's put those
great.
hands together, Matt, and cover both.
So there we go. I knew I had something off. So I guess that was a perfect segue because when you talk about Shea, you got to talk about Jokic. It's hard to play both of them. Now, I think there is enough value where you can get it done here. As far as like the true spend up guards go, like he's the only one. I don't think he's a must play here. He's getting a ton of love. He looks really good in the tools. If I were playing a cash game, I'd play him. I mean, he's the highest owned player on the slate. I get it. No Jalen Williams. Good matchup against Sacramento. It makes sense. I mean, there's a lot of good guards in this slate. You talk about the Jamal Murrays of the world, which we'll get to, but as far as spend up option goes, it's really Shea and no one else for me. And Shea looks like a really, really good option, a priority in cash games and a solid building block in tournaments.
Yeah, I think that's one where I kind of was not headed down that path this afternoon, because this morning when I wrote up the free DFS building blocks article, I was like, oh, well, Anthony Edwards, singing the virtue of him. The one caveat would be, oh, well, if he doesn't play the fourth quarter, he could still potentially get there. All this shot volume he's been getting, the fact that, what's changed for his first 33 games and his last 15 games and all that, and that's kind of out the window now. Next man up is definitely going to be Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. And the part where things get interesting tonight, and we'll get into that as we get into the pivot position, but that is why I was looking to play on FanDuel, because I wanted that decision point at center, because there's a couple center only plays. And of course, one of them is Jokic. And what do you do besides him? And that wasn't the direction that all the projections were going this morning. They liked some other players different, or slightly different from that. Plus, I thought the other fun thing, can I get logged into here to Stokastic fire me? Is that when my login's not working? Let's hope not. Okay, there we go. I was getting nervous there. I was gonna have to.
I'd make for an awkward show.
It definitely would. That would be awkward at a whole new level. Of course, as we try to take on Greg Ehrenberg and his whole relationship with Terry Rozier coming to light here across the nation. Yeah, that would have been a problem. In any event, I think Devin Booker is someone to talk about. Sorry, I had my FanDuel stuff up. I know that is the last game of the night. I caught myself before I talked much more about that. That's the other thing to round up those FanDuel thoughts. Ayton's one of those guys where I was looking, I'm like, could be really interesting on FanDuel, trying to just do different than the top, as long as Jokic isn't one of the top two centers. I was going to try to play others at center and see how that fared with my lineups. But looking at guard Jamal Murray, is the other real standout option here. Russell Westbrook, obviously out. That's the only thing that really changes is a few more shot attempts can go towards Murray and towards Michael Porter Jr. It also means Murray already was running the offense when Jokic was off the court, but it gives him a little more secondary facilitation opportunities here and more of a two-man game rather than their partial two-man game, or Jokic carrying the entire offense and feeding Westbrook for those back cut scores, etc. So Murray, I think,
he's playing really good ball right now too.
Yeah, what do you do? What do you do with that, with Murray and the discount you get to SGA?
Yeah, I mean the discount from both guys, SGA and Jokic, obviously. He is balling right now. He looks really, really good here. There's blowout concerns in this game. Anytime Charlotte plays anyone right now, anyone of competence, really, they're going to be blowout concerns. Tonight has that, but that's kind of the nice thing about Murray is he's not expensive enough where that should really kill you. Because presuming they do blow them out, Murray's at least, you'd think, having a good game, if nothing else. So 7,500, man, he looks really, really good here. I worry a little bit about some of the other guys like Aaron Gordon, who we'll get to just because it's a back-to-back, etc. But the spot is so good for Denver that I think you'll want Nuggets exposure. And if you're not playing Jokic, I think Murray looks great. And if you're not playing Murray, Jokic looks great. There's certainly scenarios where neither of them get there, or I should say that other guys just get there more than them. But man, the spot couldn't be better.
All right. I did see your show. I forget that was last night or 2 nights ago when Mr. Lindquist was putting you through your paces on the
that was ridiculous. The movies,
the pop culture.
I know a lot. I'm not like a pop culture freak, but I just don't know like Star Wars, stuff like that. Like that is not, I'll never know that. So
yeah,
I don't consider that pop culture personally.
Well, I mean, it's not pop culture; it's the fabric of America. That's what that is. So I don't know.
When I think of the fabric of America, I think of the movie Major League. That's what I think of.
Okay, I can get behind that. One of my all-time favorite movies. We used to have a tradition when I was in college. At the end of every quarter, we'd do our finals, and after our last finals, we'd watch that movie and get blitzed heavily. So
sounds fun.
It was
one of the first movies I ever saw in a theater with my dad.
Ah, very nice. Very nice. Well, I saw someone, I was going to make a fun little joke there about Total Recall because I saw someone saying they were playing 3 Nugs tonight or playing with 3 Nuggets tonight. So there you go. You familiar with Total Recall?
I am, but
not the Colin Farrell version. Not the Colin Farrell.
It's been a while.
All right. That was a good movie. That was a movie that came out around the time I was in college. So a long time ago there. All right, just a little bit outside. That is right. Pour one out for Bob Uecker there. He was quite a talented guy, comedian, actor extraordinaire, and backup catcher. So
ball player, broadcast, everything, you name it. Yeah.
Real Renaissance man back in the day there. So looking at a couple others as we go down the pricing sheet here, Isaiah Joe getting a little bit popular. That I guess makes some sense just because of his rock bottom price, 4,200 on DraftKings or probably FanDuel. He is small forward shooting guard eligible. He has that same eligibility on DraftKings at 3,900. So there's one of your discount dandies to get to our 2/3 priority plays here in the Stars and Scrubs build. Isaiah Joe missed a couple games. I think what was it? He was played 2 or 3, but he missed a pair of games. I think it was a lower leg issue. So he's back. He's fine. He's very scoring dependent here, but not quite the same empty box score that we get from time to time from like Kason Williams or now I'm blanking on their one of their many. Aaron Wiggins, thank you.
Who also is really in play here. I mean,
he's in play. Lou Dort is in play.
All these OKC guys. It's a great spot. Yeah. It's small slate, and Jalen Williams is out. So it's all you really need to put a bunch of guys in play on a slate like this.
Yeah, it was interesting to see how the popularity has really pushed them all forward, and that is something that I found. I guess it makes sense the way everything's shaking out on the slate because there hasn't been a key player like SGA or Williams out for the Thunder in a while. Plus, they're so top heavy, right? They're very concentrated in their offense, with Isaiah in there, and then SGA and Dort is okay. But then it's just like a bunch of mix and match players there, depending on the situation, right? So their coach is like a mad scientist with what he's doing with the back end of those rotations. We've seen their amoeba-like defense, if you will, and much like the running Rebs of anybody remember that team from UNLV way back
Man,
in the
I've
day?
been on a YouTube rabbit hole of Grandmama Larry Johnson over the past week, so that hits real hard right here.
All right,
He
coached
was
by
so
Jerry
good.
Tarkanian, fellow
Yeah, he
Armenian.
was.
There you go. Yeah, good
Larry
stuff.
Johnson was real good.
His arms, that chiseled physique, and the fact that he wasn't particularly tall. All
Yeah,
rather interesting.
yes,
All
very much
rather
so.
interesting. But Stacey Augmon on that team, that
Oh
team
yeah,
was pretty good. That team
team
and
was amazing.
the Miami Hurricanes of that day.
Yeah,
Boy, they
it's one of the best
invented, and
college basketball teams of all time. I mean,
those two teams invented NIL money, if you know
yeah,
what I
yeah,
mean.
they did. Yes, they did.
So good times, good times. All right, chat is saying let's get back to the Ant news. I don't know that we have official news. I would operate under the assumption he is not playing tonight. We may not officially get that since we have a whole hour after lock until that game goes off, but the late afternoon downgrade, it was about a half hour ago, 45
Yeah,
minutes
he's out.
ago.
Ant's out. That's probably why
Did
they're
they
mentioning
officially
it.
hit?
But
Oh, okay.
Conley's in.
Okay. Oh, right. So I'm off on that. So good. Let's wrap that up. Thank you. That'll reel us back into the guards. I don't feel anything for Conley at all here. 37 years old. This is season, 17 or 18. He's playing slightly less minutes now than he was his rookie season. He is playing just under 24 minutes a game, if I remember correctly. And even though he came back into the starting lineup, he hasn't really been playing a lot of minutes. This is a game where he's going to be the first person to the bench. There's, why risk any injury or anything with him in this situation when you could get some Rob Dillingham love here later in the game. And let's loop it back so I can hand it back to you to talk about present day basketball. Did you see what Bronny James did to the understudies of the Wizards a couple nights ago in the fourth quarter? Looking competent. Now remember, the competition wasn't exactly there, but looking competent. What do you think about Dillingham, and how does this solidify the T-Wolves for you? Because we can work
It
into
doesn't.
Daniels as well.
For me, it makes it a little bit trickier because Conley, I don't think I don't think I could play Conley on this slate, like just or ever really right now, just because of his lack of upside and everything you said. I do think that like at 4K in this spot, yeah, he'll be in a blowout, like first to the bench. But like, what if it's just like a 15-point game and not a 25-point game? And at 4K, he can get there no matter what. That said, I'm not going to play him, but his presence does make me like Rob Dillingham, who I've been on a bunch less. Um, with Ant out and you still have DiVincenzo out, I still like Dillingham. He's a guy that can create offense. The Wizards are so bad. Like the Wolves are going to roll them here. Like they are going to destroy Washington here. Classic spot of all these other guys are going to get up because Ant is out and they are going to feast. Like this is such a good spot for all the other Wolves to get theirs with no Ant playing against Washington. I like everyone on Minnesota now. The more I think about it as I talk it out, Conley would be one of the last people I'd get to, but his 4K price tag has a place on this slate. That's all I'll say. Like in one lineup, I wouldn't play him, but if I were 150ing, I wouldn't take him out of the pool.
Okay. And I would, that's one player I'm gonna look at. I won't take him out of the pool. I don't think he'll end up in my lineups the way I tend to run these, and I'm running 100 on DraftKings, 150 on FanDuel. But Conley is just someone, it's not worth it. We don't have to force that kind of value was what we would try to force in 6-7 years ago before players were resting all over the place.
I will say though, like it's almost like doing a reverse Uno. Like no one's gonna play Conley now. Like years ago, he would be popular at 4K. He's projected for like 19% ownership. I don't even think it gets that high personally. So I don't think you have to worry about ownership with him.
Yeah. So I just take a look here, go over to basketball reference. I think I'm on the right computer that has my extensions there that will tell me fantasy points. Of course, I haven't been at this location for about 3 months. So of course it is saying, no, we've got to take a minute to download this in clear cache and get that up there. So we'll have that pop up in a second here. But great basketball reference. You're not going to get just jerks, just a bunch of jerks over there. That's all I can say.
Sengun out.
Okay, well now we have some fun. Okay, so anyway, I was just gonna basically what I was gonna look at is I don't think Conley scored more than 25 fantasy points more than 3 or 4 times this season. Unless you're gonna get that at that kind of price, it's just not worth it. You're a detriment to whatever lineup you're on these days.
I'm more with you than against you.
All right. Let's get back to McDaniels. So McDaniels has had a single-digit fantasy point in his last outing. We're not going to have the never again crowd. That's something that kind of evaporated a few years ago as people got more and more sophisticated playing DFS. Prior to that, just dreadful performance there in Salt Lake City. He had 28 or more fantasy points in 8 of his 9 starts. What have we learned? Well, we learned during the playoffs last year that when given the opportunity to take some shots, he could be a little bit more than a 3-and-D guy. He is developing into that. We already know he's a great defender. So he gets the blocks, he gets the steals, he gets the rebound, right? He's comfortable not shooting the ball a lot. He's working his way into regular double-digit field goal attempts now, especially with Dante DiVincenzo out. Obviously no Anthony Edwards out. This is someone that we can see pop off for 40 fantasy points. This is the kind of player you want to go after in situations like this, because in a game environment against the Wizards, depending on how you set your filters, 5 games, 10 games, 15 games, the last month, the entire season, the Wizards are a bottom 5 team. Shout out to them over the last 10 games. They're only the 4th worst team when it comes to defensive efficiency, but that number is still worse than their last place season long number. They're dreadful while also playing at a top 5 pace the entire season, the same way you shake that out. And with the Wizards, there's nothing else that can get better for them, because Malcolm Brogdon was the only person who was out, and they were this dysfunctional without him. They hand out minutes to everybody. They're going to try like hell to not win. And it's going to be fun down the stretch watching them go against teams like Utah and Charlotte, and to see who can try not to win harder, which is just a mess at this point.
I never buy into like that whole try not to win. Like, I get what you're saying because the franchises would prefer them to lose, but do you think these guys on the court want to lose?
The bottom 3 teams get the exact same odds these days, but they still half the time they treat it like, oh my God, we have to finish last. It's like,
it's not even that though. Like for me, like when people say that, like you think the guys playing like aren't going to try to win? You think they care about the draft pick that's going to come in and take their job?
They're sitting the good players.
I get
Utah resting in mass.
Well, I just think Washington is really that
Jordan
bad.
Poole, why don't you sit down for the 4th quarter? Oh, that little hangnail you have, Kyle Kuzma.
That's fair.
Take it easy, bro. Take it easy.
On that note, though, if you get Washington in a competitive game, they're all way too cheap on DraftKings. And like you talk about a guy like Jordan Poole, who I've been on for seemingly like the past week, started off really, really well. Monster game against Phoenix, followed that up with another good game that has just fallen off. Like, whatever the point is, whether they're trying to lose or not, like the Wizards are really, really, really bad.
I think you oversold them there just a touch, but there's a couple more reallys in there.
Yeah, potentially, yeah.
All right, so look, continuing on to forwards here, because then we'll talk about Sengun when we get to the pivot position. So Naz Reid, just start your lineups with Naz Reid at this point. It's insane not to. We're not going to be the only ones playing him. He's going to be on 60% of all lineups across the industry. Just play him. Aaron Gordon, kind of interesting. So I thought he would maybe get the night off. I'm going to treat him similar to Conley tonight in that he's probably the first guy to the bench. This is a key game for Denver, right? They have a chance. They get a win here. I think they're the 3rd or 4th best overall record. They're like a game or 2 games ahead of both LA teams. Anthony Davis is out. This is a key win for them. My thought is if they get it secured, if they were going to play Gordon, he would eventually head to the bench. Remember, he missed 9 games with the calf issue. If they don't have him, they're just not going to get out of the first round of the playoffs, right? So they need him healthy. He had worked his way back up to 30 minutes per game. He has started the last two. He played, I forget if it was 36, 33 or 36 last night. I'm expecting him for upper 20s in minutes tonight, unless it's an absolute blowout. And then I think he's going to be the first guy to the bench. But he is at a really low salary because of the way the algorithms work. They're still counting in all those games where he was playing under 24 minutes. So you can get him at a decent, cheap price play. He'd be someone you could roll the dice with that would be comparable to, like a Keldon Johnson or a Isaiah Joe or people of that ilk, except he has more upside. It's just they would prefer not to hurt him since he plays literally every position except center, and he could probably do that. But they got Jokic, so he was the one guy that I in a different scenario, this would be a great spot for him. Christian Braun does have forward eligibility on a few of the sites. He gets a bump with Westbrook out, trickle down effect via minutes, as well as some additional offensive opportunities. He has a path towards late game, a whole fourth quarter run here, depending on what the score is. So you got guys like him. We got Keegan Murray floating around. We sort of mentioned Lou Dort, Michael Porter Jr. What is there down at the lower end here? Let's just call Naz Reid a plug and play. What do you have down here at the rest of them?
I like the Christian Braun call out. Like, he's playing good minutes for them. No Westbrook, a game that could get out of hand. I think he gets some extra run. I like him. I like that call. I'm with you on Aaron Gordon also. Like, the spot's good enough, but I just don't know if I see the upside in the amount of minutes I particularly think he plays tonight. That said, he is cheap enough where I think you can get away with it. Yeah, we talked about and not Andrew, Aaron Wiggins, those guys already a little bit. Isaiah Joe is small forward eligibility. I'm getting a ton of Wiggins. Like, the Sims really like him. I get it. 3,800, good spot. OKC is really good. So, in the majority, they're not like the Wizards where no one gets there for them. Like, the guys get there because they're really good. They're good defensively, so they're in games. I mean, they're the team blowing other teams out. And if they're doing that here, I think all these cheap guys or a bunch of these cheap guys get there. I definitely think it's a slate right now where, man, in cash games, are you playing Shea and Jokic?
I would, if at all possible, because I'm bouncing around across the three sites. I am not doing that, but those would
Right,
be
because
the
you don't
two.
want to play Jokic. Yeah.
Yeah, because those would I want to play Jokic on FanDuel for sure.
Right.
I'm not building out like a main lineup. When I do, I have not done that in a while. Aside from my one lineup I play in all formats on Yahoo, I don't really build out that cash game lineup anymore in the more traditional sense. And I do the same thing for NFL head-to-heads and Showdown NFL head-to-heads. I build it with a little bit of upside in it. Right. And that's a path I like to take. I would try to get both of them in tonight. That would be a priority along with Naz Reid, and then start figuring out, maybe I don't go with an Aaron Wiggins, and we already, said less than stellar things about Mike Conley, but you get an Isaiah Joe in there. You get a Christian Braun in there. You pick another person that you like, maybe from the depths of Minnesota. Maybe I probably wouldn't go with Dillingham because I don't want to give up a guard spot, but you would go for somebody like that, right? Someone who is that tertiary player in that situation that could get me 20 fantasy points for 4,200 or below, and maybe get a path to 26 to 27 fantasy points. Those are the kind of guys I try to put in there instead of the, just complete less than stellar upsides. Just 30% of the field's playing him, because NBA cash game's a little bit different, but 30% of the field's playing him, and then I'll find somebody else.
I get it
for that standpoint. You know what I thought about? Underdogs. We like underdogs. We like underdogs when they win. We like underdogs when they give us something. Well, Underdog Fantasy is going to be giving us, if you go through the YouTube link in the description below us here, they will be giving us a 50% deposit match up to $250 with your first deposit coming in through our link. Got to come through our link, but put in 500, get $250. That starts coming out of your account first. None of this drip bonus stuff. But check that out. Underdog gives you all sorts of everything. You want season-long best ball drafts? They've got them. Playoff best ball? They've got them. Daily drafts? They've got them. Pick'em cards? They've got them. You want to adjust the lines on your pick'ems for your player stat lines, you can move them up, get a higher payout. You can move them down, get a lower payout. Craft those cards just for yourself. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 card, 6 pick cards. It's awesome over there on Underdog. You can build that up to 1,000x payouts on Underdog Fantasy. Best part, they're legal in almost every single state that doesn't have sports wagering. There you go. What else can I say? Fantastic offer here from Underdog Fantasy. We appreciate them being today's flagship sponsor. Anything else from the forward spot, or shall we figure out what the heck is going on in Houston?
One guy falling through the cracks a little bit is Devin Vassell, shooting guard and small forward eligible. Don't mind the spot for San Antonio. Slower pace, but I think Vassell is just too cheap. Falling tag here. I like me some Devin Vassell in general, and tonight's no exception.
All right. Josh, if you're not reading chat, I'm going to get to your 2 super chats next here. So Houston, without Sengun, and we got to wrap up somebody. Does anybody have a prayer of having a good fantasy game in their front court besides Sengun?
Steven Adams just put up 30 fantasy points.
Does anyone have a prayer? You're not going to, Randy Travis, the song Forever and Ever. Amen.
Oh, okay.
Amen.
I did not know where. Okay. That was a reach, but I get it now. It's on me.
A reach.
Yeah, man. I think he looks better. Like everyone on Houston looks better. We just saw this situation play out. Adams got the start and played well. I mean, he did what Steven Adams does. Brooklyn stinks. Houston should be able to really control this game. If it's at all competitive, Amen Thompson's going to play around 40 minutes and be a great play here. Just a matter of whether he fits that build. Like, if you're playing Jokic and Shea, you're not playing Amen Thompson. I mean, that goes without saying. And I certainly think you don't have to play those 2 guys, but is he the priority if you're not? Probably not the number 1 priority, but that's also why his ownership isn't going to be that high. I'm seeing what happened to you on Stokastic. It looks like the website's down or something. I'm not even able to sign in right now and look at the boom bust tool. I can look at the sims, but I can't see like the optimal percentages and stuff. But yeah, I think Amen Thompson is going to look like a good contrarian play. I don't expect him to get a lot of love.
All right, so we're going to dovetail slightly. Josh Chapman had put in a super chat, and he said some of his sleepers would be Aaron Gordon. I agree with Nas Reed. No, he's going to be super popular. Christian Braun. Yes, I guess Brown. I agree with, and then Thompson. So it'll be interesting to see where Thompson does officially come in here, because as Matt was sort of hinting at, he has seen a justifiable price increase. I mean, he's up to 85,000 on DraftKings. That is a lofty total. On FanDuel, he's actually $300 more. So
he fits better for FanDuel pricing with what he does. Less. He doesn't shoot any threes.
Steals 3 points each. Yeah.
Yeah, and he doesn't shoot threes. So, like, I do think that his price tag is getting to be a little bit prohibitive on DraftKings. Like, he's not getting love, so I think he's, like, totally fine, and we know his upside. But, man, when you're spending that much on a wing who doesn't shoot threes, like, I get it. He's a rare breed, so you can't really compare him to anyone else. But, man, that's, like, a tough hill to climb. Threes are important in DK scoring.
Yes, they absolutely are. And then Josh's other super chat, he says, and this is a good one. He says, with Peyton Watson out for Denver as well, since they do not have a lot of backup bigs, does Gordon become a better pick? Yes, if this wasn't, I mean, Denver is double-digit favorites right now. It makes it harder to go with him. It's a back-to-back. We mentioned all that, 3 games in 4 nights, and he is coming back from that soft tissue calf injury. So I like the way you're thinking, but he also says, hey, what about Julian Strother? And I think that's a possibility as from there. I think Strother is an interesting way to go. The one challenge with all of the Denver It's the first game of the night, and we've got another hour for something stupid to happen. If Denver
Christian
were in
Brown
the eight,
starting.
if Denver were in the 8 o'clock games, now you're talking. Now you're saying, well, what do I have here that maybe door number 3 could give me from Denver later, as opposed to now? I think you're on the right path here. Because what are they going to dust off creaky old? Who is their backup still? Is it DeAndre Jordan or
They have played
whomever?
some DJ, like when Jokic has been out.
Yeah,
I don't know what's up with Zeke Naji, whether he's
similar to Fred VanVleet when he got that big check. It hurt him, some soft tissue issues, and he has never been the same. Sometimes that happens with players, right? Sometimes that happens.
I
Was it
could see Zeke Naji
Luol
getting dusted
Deng and
off tonight.
former Cleveland Cavalier Timofey Mozgov? Remember when they got paid by the Lakers?
Yeah, Luol Deng's also a former Cavalier
Oh, that's right. All I
for a
remember is
minute.
his entire career, he was broken down by being broken down by Tom Thibodeau's overwhelming minutes.
He was
was
good when
Jimmy
he was
Minutes
good.
before Jimmy Minutes.
He was good when he was like good.
Yeah, yeah. The British accent is always
Yeah.
good, always fun. All right, back. I think we hit everything there for Josh. So the Jokic, I was hoping we'd get an update here. So part of why I wanted to play on, as I mentioned earlier, part of the reason I wanted to play on FanDuel today as well is because I wanted to good. We just got projections updated 3 minutes ago. You should be able to get back in. It should be populating that the boom bust tool. The popularity projections just hit 26 seconds ago. So quickly, let's finish this one up, and then we can talk to the rest of centers here. So when in looking at the center only players on FanDuel, this is something I find fascinating. We used to have this discussion far more frequently when FanDuel did not have multi-position eligibility, and you had your buckets of guard, small forward, small shooting guard, et cetera, et cetera. So when we look at center only, so Mark Williams, we didn't really talk about him. Remember, he's playing tonight. He's starting. He's a full go. His injury maintenance is to deal with that foot issue. They don't want to overdo it with him. Before he has sat a couple games here and there, he was just rattling off 50 fantasy point games. What a measuring stick game tonight for him going against Jokic. Sad that LaMelo Ball is not in this one, but this is a good game, right? Let's see where he's at, right? What can he do in these kinds of situations? So, expect him out there for his 32 or so minutes. But he's center only. Isaiah Hartenstein, center only as well. Rudy Gobert, I think that's kind of a waste. He's not going to look for a shot enough, but he is more popular. And Jokic is like the fourth most popular center only player. So what I wanted to do is I wanted to go on this site and play Jokic, and I didn't think Williams would get quite as popular. I figured it would be like Nick Claxton or something like that. But I'm looking to like just play those guys, or maybe I'll go 70% Jokic just to be different, or Jokic and 8, right? Like I had sort of mentioned, and go away from all the popular center only plays, just because I think it'll force the rest of my lineups into other things. And I thought I'd play around with that in the 150 max for the nickel on the 25 cents. So it's not like a big bank Hank over there. But
Mike Conley now second overall in the boom bust tool. We haven't projected for we haven't projected for 28 fantasy points. So do with that what you will. I'm still not really inclined to play him, mostly because he takes up a point guard spot, but he projects for 28 fantasy points and he's 4K. So there's that.
Are you familiar with Morgana the Kissing Bandit? Is that before your time? Are you familiar with Taylor Mathis?
Yes.
She walks around and does bets.
Oh yeah, yes, of course.
Who is your bust of the night?
That was good. That was very good. I'm gonna say, man, it's tough. All these plays. I'm gonna say, you know what? I'm gonna say just relative. Nickeil Alexander-Walker, only shooting guard eligible. Okay. I guess he's not getting a ton of love right now though, so he doesn't even count. I'll say this: of all the guys getting ownership, who do I think is most likely to bust relative to price? It's going to be Aaron Gordon. I think the minutes are a real risk here, back to back, blowout concerns. Now, I know that he could smash in limited run. It's such a good spot for Denver, no Westbrook, etc. But I think that he's one of the first to sit, and he's getting a lot of love.
All right. The same things can be said about Taylor.
Yes, that's true.
All right. I'm looking forward to getting a note from HR. That'll be fun. Let's see. We have 18 minutes and 45 seconds to go here. Anything else from the center spot that you would like to call out before
One
we
guy I
start
love
answering some
here
questions? Okay.
that's getting love, but not enough, in my opinion, is Isaiah Hartenstein. Great
Okay.
spot, only 7,200. No Jalen Williams. A lot of added rebound equity here. He predicts for 40 fantasy points at 7,200. Yeah, I like him a lot. I understand you've got Gobert, you've got Jokic. He's going to fall through the cracks because of that. So I like Hartenstein a lot. He gives you OKC exposure. He's less owned than a lot of the other guys on the Thunder. So I like him quite a bit. On a side note, did you happen to see Kevin Garnett and Gary Payton trash talking each other last night?
Kevin Durant.
And Gary Payton. Yeah,
Not
it
Kevin
was
Garnett. I'm not the only one, chat, that could get a little confused, a little conflated.
Kevin Durant. It was Kevin Durant while he was
Kevin
playing.
Garnett. I know. You said
I said Kevin Garnett.
Yeah, Honey Nut
You said
Cheerios,
Garnett.
that guy, yeah.
Okay, it wasn't Garnett. It was Durant. Sorry. You were just waiting for
Prayers
that.
were answered finally.
You were waiting for that. It was a Freudian slip. I love KG. But yeah, Durant and Gary Payton. Did you see that?
Yes, I did. And then I saw them say it was nothing but love.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Or this afternoon, yeah.
I really like KD. I think he's awesome.
Yeah, Gary Payton, one of my favorites.
Same.
Was the
funny thing is,
overall
though,
pick when I was,
and I think you'll agree with this, as good as Gary Payton was, I mean, one of the best point guards ever, certainly of his generation, Durant is unequivocally a better NBA player than Gary Payton.
Oh, for no questions asked.
Like, yeah, not even, and Gary Payton's a Hall of Famer, like elite, but Durant's top 10 all time.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Gary Payton, one of my most favorite players, and him and Sean Kemp just doing all sorts of craziness on the court there, and those teams and the glove and all of that. He was phenomenal. His defense was just absolutely amazing. And his dad, Mr. Mean, and when he was at Oregon State, everything. But yeah, Kevin Garnett is the better. All right, let me.
Now you said Kevin Garnett.
Oh, because full circle is the only way we do things here. Soup.
He is also, though, too. Garnett is was a better pro than
Yes.
Payton also.
Yeah. Payton. Generation.
These are like upper echelon.
Yeah, for his time frame, Gary Payton, almost second to none, right? We're looking at like Stockton and
Jason Kidd, Gary Payton.
John Starks, maybe get some combo guard in there or something like that. I'm just trying to.
For me, it's Jason Kidd, Gary Payton, Stockton, like those three. Steve Nash towards the end of that.
Yeah, but that's not all. Are any of those guys all timers? Okay, Stockton for the longevity and
they're not all timers like Durant, etc.
Yeah. For the devs, I think is the boom bust tool up for you? Yeah.
Yes, it's bad.
Yeah. So what happens on the boom bust tool and devs that are trying to chase this down? I think it was just a cycling of the two things not being pulled together from nearly consecutive updates. We see that this is something that's been happening for a while, so I don't think it's that big of a deal. On that, it looks like it's good there now, and I think Matt caught it at an off time, and I was having trouble logging in, but it just was for other reasons. All right, we have 16 minutes to go here. Let's see. Chat was saying some starting lineups. For Denver, we have Jamal Murray, Christian Brown, Michael Porter Jr., Aaron Gordon, Nikola Jokic there. Charlotte countering with Vasilij Micic, Nick Smith, Josh Green, Miles Bridges, Mark Williams. I guess we didn't really mention Josh Okogie dinged up. I forget a calf or ankle. I can't remember. He got hurt last night. Just another depth piece there, but that sort of gives the remaining ambulatory options a little bit of love because Martin is out as well, obviously Ball. So some of their deeper bench players could get some fourth quarter run. Nothing really actionable there, but worthy of at least mentioning. How many lineups are you building out tonight?
Just one. And to your point earlier, Julian Strawther does look really, really good now. He's surpassed some of the OKC guys. Not all of them, but some of them. Definitely
That
looks like a
wasn't me.
stars
That
and
was
scrubs
That
type
was
build.
Josh Chapman. He paid to tell us to talk about this potential Julian Strawther play. He was ahead of the curve. He just wasn't sure which Denver guy it was going to be.
Right. Yeah, I mean, this definitely looks like a slate where there's enough value. You're probably going to want some sort of stars and scrubs approach. Doesn't mean full stars and scrubs, but the raw points are going to matter tonight because there's a lot of good value.
All right. Who is the player you are afraid you do not have enough of in your lineups tonight?
I'm with you. It's going to be Jokic right now.
All right. Contest names, sort A to B. See, I have to color code because these CSV templates are all different, and yeah, I'm using the CSV instead of the lineup generator helper thing here. But I want to get my FanDuel lineups in here now. So if I go unencumbered, Nas Reed on 78% of my lineups, but I mentioned I wanted a ton of Jokic. So I'm going to boost the ever loving out of him. And then I said 8, and I thought it was interesting. 8. Ooh, that's gonna not really work because I'm gonna have to do some things after lock because 8 is hardly in the player. But the goal for me is to probably get half or more Jokic on this because I want to have some fun here and build out different lineups. Okay, 77%, 79% Jokic. Why don't I just go with that right there? That works for me. I'm going to just export that right now. So I shout out to Stokastic because if I was not already a contributor here, which gave me access to the tools, courtesy of the Sims, I finished first in the $2,500 mini max on Monday or Tuesday. I finished second and fifth on the next day. So that would have gotten me 30 days of free Stokastic, any sport, all access Sims. Because I have the Stokastic avatar and I sent that into the Stokastic HOF. Actually, I just tagged Lofty because it's more fun to do it that way for me. So I had some fun with that. But yeah, so I had 2 qualifying finishes for the Hall of Fame. Plus, I got second overall earlier this month over on the FanDuel I think it was the quarter contest as well. So I mean, I already got 3 legs to the Stokastic Hall of Fame there, but yeah, that would be worth 2 months of any Sims product, single sport of my choice. So obviously NBA, but MLB right around the corner. So you guys want to check that out. That is the Stokastic Avatar promotion. All you got to do is have the Stokastic Avatar downloaded and upload it on your DFS site of choice. Finish first, second, or third. No ties. Got to be first, second, or third. You can have a 3-way tie for first, but first, second, or third. Any contest of at least 5,000 people or more. Buy-in size does not matter. You send that to Stokastic HOF over there on Twitter, and we will get you the Stokastic single Sims package of your sport of your choice for 30 days. Check that out. It's a very, very good deal. But look, I already won twice. Not too shabby. And now's the time of year, Matt, where I see the people putting their 1099s out on Twitter, like, oh, did I get a 1099? Did I? That's the key. And all the people are like, what's a 1099? Oh, if you don't know what a 1099 is, if you're playing DFS,
yeah, well, I mean,
and you're claiming to be a winning player, there's a little bit of an issue there. So
yeah, I feel like if you don't know what a 1099 is in general, you got some problems.
Yes. All right. I am uploading the old FanDuel lineup, so we are all good. We got 10 minutes to go. What does that mean? Do I forego? Let's take a quick look over here on the secret site and see. I may have to give up setting that lineup with. Am I ready to give up somebody from the early game? I think I'd be okay not playing anybody from Yahoo or on Yahoo in that early game. But let's take a quick look here and see what the ownership says, because I may have to to bail and get over there on DraftKings. No, I really need Mark Williams from that game. He's only $23. So I'm going to go put him in my placeholder lineup. Jackson Hayes is popping up as well on Yahoo. That'll be my last mention of that site. He is $12 at power forward. That is a nice savings there. Cap him out around 24 fantasy points, but that is a possibility. We didn't really hit much on that Lakers game. I sort of mentioned, the LeBron in Madison Square Gardens, and I don't think he's going to be overly excited. And at this point, he's 40 years old, and this is a tough matchup. It's more about the win. What do you like from that game on either side? I mean, Towns, is it Brunson? Is it King James?
There isn't a ton I like from that game. I think Towns would be my favorite piece overall. Obviously you'd rather get to Jokic, but he's quite a bit cheaper. So it's Towns for me. I know the Sims like Towns. Um, he looks good in the tools, but just hard for me to prioritize. Like again, I like Jokic more, obviously. I like Hartenstein more for the price. So he's just in no man's land for me, but I think he's in play, like in a game that should be competitive. Josh Hart, never a bad play, but no one in this entire game stands out. The Lakers have now been priced up a bit with no AD. So LeBron looks the best, but he's 10-7 with shaving 10-8, who projects for like 8 more or 6.5 more fantasy points. Like tough to get there. Yeah, I'm trying to think about who even that would be the next. Like Jackson Hayes, I don't really like it here. He's 4,600, so he's cheap, but he's not dirt cheap. He ran into the nut situation last time out against Washington. He played well. I don't expect that to happen here, and I just think there's too much opportunity cost. Like I definitely wouldn't. I'm not going to play Hayes, and if I were 150ing, he's the guy I'd think about just crossing off.
All right. A couple super chats here from Eric. Good one. Is Dillingham viable for cash? I would say yes. This is DraftKings.
Same.
He also is asking, what are our top 5 DraftKings cash options? Give me one moment and I will tell you. But the goal is to get to Jokic and or Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. You're also going to want to look at Naz Reid for sure.
Oh yeah.
If you're going with Dillingham, I think that allows you the luxury of not having to go with Mike Conley. But if Conley's the only way you can get Gilgeous-Alexander and Jokic in there, I'm okay with it. But I really don't. That would be the price of admission for me to get Conley. You had some questions about NAW, Nickeil Alexander-Walker. Would you go with him or like say an Aaron Wiggins? DK Cash again.
Yeah, like I think I'd go with him actually. He projects for, I don't know, something's off here. He projects for more fantasy points. He's 200 more expensive. I guess it's the positionality. Um, and he's getting like 3% ownership. I don't know. Something seems off there. That said, he is only shooting guard eligible. So in a vacuum, I'd like to say I'd play Alexander Walker over Wiggins, but I'm just not sure I'd be able to do that positionality wise.
All right. And then Isaiah Joe would be the other one I'd put in there. But you want to go that star scrubs. You really want those two guys
Yeah,
plus.
Strother.
Yes. Oh, good call out. Strother's a good call out.
Another guy we didn't even talk about, KJ Simpson for Charlotte, 3,400.
You know what? Why I gotta say, you know what he is. He actually is an option. They're missing enough of their bench depth. I mentioned a Koji out. That gives them a few more minutes floating around that need to go to somebody in a semi-lost season.
And everyone wants to play Rob Dillingham. Like I know his ownership projection isn't that high, but he's been talked about around the industry for the past week. Went to Kentucky. People know his game. KJ Simpson's going to be a tenth of the ownership of Dillingham.
All right, 4 minutes to go.
One other cheap play we didn't talk about, big man, Luca Garza. I know, man, but it's just the spot. This Minnesota team, they're all in play. I think if you have a question, not you, but like whoever's watching of in like X player versus Y player and X it plays for the Timberwolves, I'm gonna like that player more.
All right, that works. Let's go to my ROI boosts. Oh, let's just get a bunch of Nas. Let's get a bunch of this. Nas, isn't that what makes your car go fast, right? Fast and Furious. Remember those.
Is that the NOZ or?
Yeah, it's Nas, but calling it Nas Reed, and it's NOS, or it's
Okay.
NO2 for nitrous
Okay.
oxide, but it looks like it says Nas. All right, let me get these uploaded here. And I saw your buddy Freudian Slip. I mean, you mentioned Freudian Slip, and Freudian Slip felt compelled to pop in with the membership chat. He says the magic words we like to hear. Charlotte may suck, but they can keep games close. I would agree, but it's better off with Ball. But we have seen time and time again this season these craptastic teams. Like what if Washington can hit some threes? And say Edwards is out, right? Edwards is out, and Washington hit some threes. All of a sudden, that game is like, whoa, that's not what we expected, right? Let's turn the variance up to 11 with that. But we've seen Bryce Sensabaugh single-handedly beat the Heat and the Magic on a Florida road swing for Utah, and they were like, whoa, let's get this guy back to the bench here. We don't need him in here doing this again. Just weirdness can happen with today's NBA. So yeah, wouldn't that be something? Because Denver doesn't exactly have the most stalwart defense. Denver also is still, for the umpteenth year in a row, they're playing their basically what is their hockey line changes, right? They have a distinct, our second unit is now on the court, and it's not this feathering in of 2 or 3 guys, right? It's just, nope, 4 of the 5 guys are second. It's either Murray or Jokic out there with the rest of the bench unit. And it just makes for some interesting things. And to sort of put a point on this, since I know we're getting close to lock here, to put a point on it, remember when it took a while, this is several years ago, it took a while for the books to catch up that you want the quarters you wanted Golden State in betting them on them in like the first quarter, third quarter, and just because of how they did their rotation. Similarly, 2 years ago, it was the second quarter you wanted to go against Denver because when Jokic got his break, everything fell apart. Not only their defense went down some, their offense cratered, right? And if you're only looking at that quarter, that makes things interesting. So those are kind of the game within the game that we want to look at here. All right, let me get to my contests upcoming over here on Yahoo because I need to get in Williams. There we go, Mr. Mark Williams at $23. You are now in. And let's see. Ooh, a little bit over there. Chase a couple things. All right, what do you got going on for the rest of the night? I'm going to watch the Tulsa King with Mama EMac here.
That sounds fun. I'm sure I'm going to get into some TV watching myself. Week sports night, there's NBA.
Week sports tonight, tomorrow.
Yeah, for sure.
NBA's over at 6 o'clock tomorrow. There's a couple early games, and that's it.
Well, I like college hoops, and there's not even really any good college hoops games on tonight.
No, that for some odd reason, you are correct. We are running a little light there, but there we go. Yeah, I think we're gonna have some either fried egg sandwiches or some sort of grilled cheese sandwich. Because when your mom, you gotta have comfort food when your mom's in town, right? And that's one of my favorite stuff when I was a kid. So she said, "What do you want to have?" I'm like, "I like fried egg sandwiches." She's like, "Really?
Amazing.
Those are so easy." I'm like, "Yeah, but no one makes them like you." So,
yeah, trust me, I get that.
Good times. All right. Oh, the Duke beat down of UNC. Oh, I mean, for those of you that are West Coast, Gonzaga is they're going.
Yeah, they play St. Mary's.
They're playing St. Mary's. I think the game's in St. Mary's, or at St. Mary's. So, but I will be in bed before, even though I'm drinking coffee, I'll be in bed before that one tips off. So, nothing exciting there. But I think we're going to get ready to move out. Oh, who we didn't mention was Joval as the slate buster. So shout out, I will say a little something for Eric Lindquist. I believe he did call out the Joval double at plus 230. I was able to get it at plus 220 on Hard Rock. That is my only option out there, but I got that right before the show started. So I suspect that number will still be live there. But there, if you're looking for your wager of the day, that would be one to grab. With that, everybody, we appreciate you tuning in. Shout out to Underdog for being the presenting sponsor of the show. Check out that Stokastic Hall of Fame. You've been following my lead. Hey, you would have 2 free months already of the Stokastic Sims for your sport of choice. You guys can find Matt over there on Twitter at Fantasy Tips Matt. You can find me at EMac DFS, and of course, it is Stokastic _COM. With that, gamers, good luck.